my name is Jennifer Aldana Felice, and I am a local realtor here in El Paso, Texas with ECA Journey Real Estate and an approved partner for the Mi Casa Homebuyer Grant program. Today, we are diving into what the Mi Casa Grant program is all about, who it can help, and how you can take advantage of the program itself. So joining me is Elizabeth Moya. She's the executive director of the El Paso Housing Finance Corporation, which is the organization behind the Mi Casa Grant. And also with us is loan officer Randi Alper Cabrera with Guild Mortgage, an approved lender for the program. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a quick little piece of data from the Data USA. About 63.7% of homes in El Paso are owner occupied. That means many people are still renting, and they might be missing out on the long-term benefits of home ownership here in El Paso, which is exactly why programs like the Mi Casa Homebuyer Grant are so important for our community. So to help us understand it a bit better, I'll start with you, Elizabeth. But first, for those who may not be familiar with the El Paso Housing Finance Corporation, can you just start by sharing what the organization does and its mission in our community?
Absolutely. So we're the El Paso Housing Finance Corporation. We're a nonprofit government entity established in 1979. So we've been serving the community for several years. Our sole mission is to provide affordable housing solutions for citizens of El Paso, Texas. And we do that by issuing revenue bonds to provide either down payment assistance or to help other affordable housing developers rehab existing affordable housing units or create new affordable housing opportunities. And recently, we've been trying to get more focused on helping turn renters into buyers because we see it's exceptionally more valuable to be an owner versus a renter. And I think that that's where an entity like ours can really provide a generational opportunity for families to create new financial wealth long term, to set a good example for children in the community, and to build stronger communities and neighborhoods here in El Paso.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. Okay, so for someone hearing about it for the very first time, how would you describe the Mi Casa Homebuyer Grant program?
So the Mi Casa Grant program was developed. We were thinking about what is making people rent instead of buy. And we discovered several different options. You'll see several articles in the media talking about how student loans are affecting the younger generation being able to buy a home, how difficult rising prices of utilities, property taxes, credit card bills are also difficult. And when we were tackling the situation and trying to provide the biggest benefit for the community, we really identified that in El Paso, it's very difficult to pay your bills on time while also saving money to be a first-time home buyer. So we designed the program to be able to pay that down payment for financially responsible families. We also want to catch the families going in early. So if you've ever dreamt of owning a home, I encourage you to start the process of applying by attending a home buyer education workshop. We'll be able to teach you how to improve your credit, where your credit is at now, and that home buyer education class is good for an entire year. And if you qualify for the program, you'll get a grant up to $20,000. But essentially what that means is for every household, the grant is 4% of the mortgage amount. So for example, a $200,000 mortgage is an $8,000 grant, and that helps cover your down payment and closing costs. So we felt that this is a good opportunity to help financially responsible renters in the community who are already ready to buy a home do it now before home prices continue to increase.
Right, okay. And let me go over really quick the eligibility requirements, because understanding who qualifies is really the first step. So here's what buyers need to know. First, the program is designed mainly for first-time home buyers. That simply means you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so there are a few exceptions, like veterans or people purchasing in specific targeted areas, but in general, it's focused on helping first-time home buyers get into their home. The other thing too is the home must be within the city limits of El Paso, and it has to be your primary residence, which means you must be living in the home, not renting it out. Third, there are income limits, and they depend on how many people are in your household and whether the home is in a targeted area or a non-targeted area, which folks can find on the website www.elpasohfc.org. For example, a household of 1 to 2 people buying in a non-targeted area would need to earn $98,800 or less to qualify. The amount goes higher if the home is within an actual targeted area. And Elizabeth, like I said, they can look up those targeted areas in the website itself, where they can actually also enter the address of any particular property they're wanting to purchase or look into, and then the website will basically let them know if it's in a non-targeted or a targeted area.
Yes,
correct?
so just a little bit more information on that. A lot of people ask us, what's a target area, what's a non-target area? Why are you giving extra cookies for people buying in a target area? So a target area is a federally established census tract that says, in this area of town, we want to help property values appreciate. We want to help people. We've noticed that there's a lot of unused property or houses that are off the market. So that's established at a federal level. That's not something that's determined by the city of El Paso or by our organization. Right. But because we are a government agency and we are fulfilling a public purpose, we are able to provide extra benefits for people buying in a target area. And one good thing or bad thing, however you want to think about it here in El Paso, is there is a lot of target areas in the city of El Paso. You have them on the west side, you have them on the east side, the northeast, the south side, all over El Paso. So I encourage anybody looking for a home, there's a short tutorial video on the website. And you can just put in the address, and it'll tell you if you're in a qualifying census tract. If you ever have any problems, call us at the office, and we'll go ahead and guide you through that.
Perfect. And I'll go ahead and provide that number shortly in case anybody needs more information on that. The other thing is also that buyers need to meet certain credit score criteria and debt to income ratio requirements, which we'll go over with Ms. Randi here. A FICO score of at least 640 is required, and your lender will make sure your monthly debt is at a manageable level. Fifth, all buyers must complete a homebuyer education course from a HUD-approved provider. This is also crucial because it basically prepares you for the financial responsibilities of owning a home, which is extremely important. Lastly, the mortgage loan has to be one of the program-approved loan types, like FHA, VA, or USDA, depending on the buyer's situation. So overall, the requirements make sure the grant is going to buyers who are ready, who are qualified, and committed to the long-term success of homeownership. So I'm going to go back to Ms. Elizabeth here. Are there any restrictions on the type of property, like new construction, resale homes, manufactured homes, or condos?
Generally, the only restriction is it must be located within the city limits of El Paso. We are a city-created entity sponsored by the city of El Paso. So unfortunately, at this moment, Socorro, Clint, Fabens properties don't count. Condos are eligible to be purchased, a townhouse or a condo. This is actually a pretty viable solution for families that need to meet that DTI and ratio. And we find that condos are usually priced a lot lower than you're going to see home prices here in El Paso. So essentially, it's a difference of renting your apartment or owning your apartment. It may not be a large dream home that you're thinking of purchasing. This program is a good opportunity to help you buy a small beginner home, earn that equity, turn it into a larger home in a few years. Yes, you can buy a manufactured home. Condos and townhomes, you can buy a 1 to 2 unit property, so a duplex could qualify. There are certain requirements for that, and I'll let Randi, who's an exceptional partner for us in the program, give you a little bit more details about that.
Great. Okay. And one more question, Elizabeth. Why do you think a program like Mi Casa is so important in a city like El Paso, especially considering the number of families who are still renting? But what is your perspective?
I went to a housing conference last year that put it best. Simply owning real estate is the great divider. You know, if renting versus owning really is a way to create future freedom and financial leadership within your family, you can set the right example. If you're a renter, you're constantly under somebody else's thumb. They can increase your interest rates. They can all of a sudden decide your family pet isn't allowed in your rental unit. If you own your home, you're able to earn equity with every payment, and it's just a very important example. I'm a mother of 3 children, so it's very important for me to focus on that, to set the example to younger children growing up. It's just a lot different if they're renting and constantly having to move out than they have that long-term stability of owning their home.
Right. Very well said. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so let's go ahead and let's get with Miss Randi here. And so, Randi, from the lending side, what does the process look like when a buyer wants to use the Mi Casa grant? What's the very first step they should take?
So the first step they should take is to get pre-qualified. So that basically requires them getting in touch with me or a participating lender who participates with Mi Casa, but we would definitely want to take their information right away, whether it's over the phone, in person, or face-to-face, and we're going to do a loan application. We have to do that first. That's going to get them pre-qualified and give them some understanding, and you as a realtor, if they pre-qualify for the program. So the first step is to get pre-qualified. And when they get pre-qualified, we're going to take all of their information in terms of their name, social, date of birth, current residency for the last 2 years. And most importantly, we're going to pull the credit. So we can do a soft pull or a hard pull. So that definitely depends on the buyer and what they tell me, what they tell us as mortgage providers. If they tell us, where their credit's at, we'll have that conversation. But we definitely would do a credit check and make sure that they are eligible to participate with Mi Casa. That's going to be the first and the most important step. And then as we get into it, as we pull credit and we see that their credit score is over a 640 and they're able to take advantage of this amazing program, which is free money, free down payment assistance, up to 4% that will cover their down payment and a portion of their closing costs, then we're going to get further into the application. We'll get into their employment history. We'll get into their income. And then once we kind of get everything finished with the application, we'll get to see those debt to income ratios. Everything really kind of culminates itself. We get to see, how much of that housing payment is being utilized from their monthly income, how much of the total debt, including that housing payment. And that's where those debt to income ratios fit in, and see if they're a candidate for Mi Casa. So I should say the first step is getting pre-qualified for sure.
Perfect. And Randi, I know as a realtor, when buyers hear the word documents from a lender, especially from a lender, they tend to get a little apprehensive, like they're about to be asked for their entire life story, right? Yes. But really, it's much simpler than most folks think. Can you walk buyers through what documents they actually need for the Mi Casa grant?
For sure. So I definitely want to put customers at ease. I mean, I think that it is intimidating. Of course, just asking anyone for their personal information can be very intimidating. And I have the ultimate respect for anyone that is who is motivated to buy a home in general. So the paperwork that we're going to ask for will be W-2s if they are W-2'd wage earners, or we will ask for tax returns if they're self-employed, pay stubs that cover a 1-month time frame, and bank statements. So again, it just depends on the individual's circumstances. If we need a divorce decree or a court-ordered child support order, it just depends on the individual client and the type of program that we're going to be using as to this specific documentation. But for the most part, it's W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements for the most part.
Okay, sounds great. Randi, what are some of the most common questions or concerns buyers bring to you? And how do you help them navigate those?
So I think a lot of them are worried about their credit score. They have no idea where they stand when it comes
Yeah.
to credit. They haven't had their credit pulled, or they think they have poor credit when actually they really don't. So there's a lot of unknowns out there. So I think just by pulling the credit report, and they see, wow, your credit score is not nearly as poor as you thought it was, or we can go forward because you do have that 640 credit score or above. So there's some of that unknowns in terms of the credit score. I think income and savings in the bank is a huge one. This program will give the customer the means to buy a home. They don't have to have an abundance of savings in the bank. They don't have to have money saved up. You can actually get into a property with zero money out of pocket. You can negotiate with the seller to get the seller to pay closing costs. And I'm an advocate for that buyer. So I would communicate with you, Jennifer, and say, we just were able to get Mr. and Mrs. Smith pre-qualified. They can utilize Mi Casa, their down payment's covered. Will you please try to get the seller to pay X amount if their closing costs, and then they can actually go to closing with zero money out of pocket. So it really is important that the lender communicates with the realtor and with Mi Casa, just so that everybody understands this is truly a no money out of pocket program if we're all on the same page and we can work with a willing seller, I should say.
Okay. And so what are some common mistakes buyers make that could slow down or complicate their qualification for this particular grant?
So I'd say not being honest at the time of doing a loan application. I think that's a big thing. If the customer is married and they say they're separated, but they're still legally married, that will come up because we definitely do need. Texas doesn't recognize separation here in Texas, so we need to know if they're married or truly unmarried. Basically having cash deposits that are coming into their bank account and we're not sure where they're coming from. That has to be sourced. So we need to know where those funds that they're getting deposited in the bank, if it's not their regular scheduled pay stub or their income or their spouse's income, and then we're going to have to document where that money's coming from. Some buyers don't realize that they've co-signed for their mom's car loan or their child's car loan, and they're like, oh wow, that belongs to my son or my daughter, and I didn't know they were late making that payment, so that could come up. So things like that do come up, but it's our job to try to find a solution, and there are solutions. So there's definitely a good lender will pretty much explain what we can do to make it work or to avoid it from happening, in the future.
Okay. And I know that's actually one of the reasons why we have the approved lenders and the approved realtors for the program. Elizabeth, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. Where can people look up the list of approved lenders and realtors? It would be the website, correct?
Yes. So we have 20 banks currently signed up with our program. A few of them, I won't list all 20, are Change, Patriot, CMG, Cadence, Guild, obviously, All Western, Citibank, and a few others. You can find the full list and all of the loan officers that have attended the training on our website. Again, that's www.elpasohfc.org. Or you can also, it'll take you to the same website. It's also called www.micasagrant.org. Sometimes that's easier to remember. It takes you to the same site.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And it is important to work with an approved realtor and lender because not everyone is familiar with the program itself. So that's why there
Exactly.
are specific training videos that they have to watch, and then that way they can be on the approved list.
Yes, and I would say the sooner you get with an approved lender or approved realtor, the better. It just helps open up more opportunities, and you won't get your heart broken at the very end if you've heard about the program and you're trying to work with a lender that hasn't attended training. I would at least encourage them to call us and get the training while they're helping you.
Right, and I think it makes the process easier, faster, and just way less stressful for buyers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me go ahead and give out the phone number in case anyone is interested, if they need more information or they just want to talk to somebody over the phone about the program. So you can contact or you can call 915-228-9336, and that is the phone number for the El Paso Housing Finance Corporation. And of course, they can also email the El Paso Housing Finance Corporation at admin@elpasohfc.org. Ladies, did you want to add anything else?
I do
Go
want
ahead,
to
Ms.
add
Randi.
something.
Yes.
I think one of the things we didn't mention is that the interest rate on this program is so low.
Yes.
So
That is
that
very
is a
important.
major draw for any buyer to want to work with Mi Casa. It has a 6.2% interest rate. It's a 30-year fixed loan, and it is lower than market rates, lower than other down payment assistance programs that we're seeing right now. So it's just such a huge value for a first-time buyer to take advantage of because of the low interest rate. So I think that's where why so many lenders want to participate in this program. Guild was one of the first. We were really honored and we love it, but we need to get more buyers
Right.
to make the commitment to see that they have the potential to own a home, that they can qualify to buy a home. And with this low interest rate, they definitely have a great shot
Great
at
point.
doing it.
Yes,
So.
yes.
To that point, I
Yes.
also want to add one comment that I have received is interest rates seem to be declining. Hopefully they'll decline more. You are more than welcome. There's no penalty. Like I said, this is not a lien on the property. You don't have to hold it for a certain period of time, or you have to pay it back. It's a true grant. So if rates do drop significantly, you can take advantage of our grant, buy the home, and then refinance it at a better rate in the future. There's no reason to hold off on buying. I mean, and we don't know if we're going to be able to issue this program again next year if we're not able to utilize these funds by December 31st. So it's important to take advantage of this program now.
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
Yes, 100%. And thank you both so much for the insight. I think we just helped a lot of people realize home ownership might be way more within reach than they thought. So that's very important.
It costs nothing to try.
Yeah,
At least you
right.
know how to improve your chances next time. I think the hardest part about buying a home, or even talking to somebody about buying a home, they are afraid of the rejection of getting a no. But if you just kind of swallow that pill, accept, hey, even if I get a no, I know how to fix my profile to
Right.
apply again within a year.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's so true. Did you want to add anything else, Ms. Randi?
I couldn't agree. I mean, everything that Elizabeth
Very
and you
well
had
said,
mentioned
yes.
is exactly true. And
Yes.
just the fact that it's a grant, which is free money and not a second lien that most other down payment assistance programs have, where they have to live in the home for at least 3 years without any penalty. There are no penalties with this program. So just like Elizabeth mentioned, that where rates are at 6.2% fixed with Mi Casa, and then if they go down next year in the 5s, then they could just refinance with absolutely no penalty. So it's just
Perfect.
a beautiful win-win situation.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. And I'm just going to go over the email one more time for people that are, if anybody has any questions, they can email admin@elpasohfc.org, or they can call 915-228-9336. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.